Hi, everybody, and hi, Dan. Hi, Sarah. Hi to our friends in APAC. Good morning from Manila. I am Chloe. I'm your Hug Manila leader here, and I'm also the head of Learning, Excellence, and Processes in Straight Arrow. Um, I want to just do a quick check-in from which I know we have guests from APAC in different parts of the Philippines. So can you just type on chat where you're from, like what city you're from, just so we know what time zones we've covered. Let me see. Actually, I'm in a city called Mandaluyong, so Manila, Boston, and Phoenix. Laguna, so we have people from Laguna, Quezon City. All right, thank you, Jackie, Martina, and Armand. So because we have some special guests from the US and APAC today, I want to share a little bit of what we've been up to in Hug Manila. So our meetups went from in-person events at places like Accelerate. They're also a Hubspot user. We also had one at Commune Cafe with Ross Wan. Ross owns the cafe. She's also a local thought leader on social media marketing. And the last in-person meetup we had was at Google Philippines, actually, with Sam Jean Blanc. And then 2020 happened, and most things went virtual. And while it did bring its own set of challenges, it actually helped our community grow. Like it was a little bit like Professor X finding, from the X-Men, finding um, mutants across like Facebook groups. We were realizing that on Facebook groups, there were local HubSpot users. We found them on groups like Startup Community PH and Connected Women and Work from Home Pinay. So that was really, really fun. And today, we're so happy that the community has grown and we're now able to welcome, more people, not just from Metro Manila, but from different parts of the Philippines. At one point, we had people from Cebu and Subic, and from different time zones too. So in 2020, we kicked off with some exciting sessions. We had our first meetup on sales automation with Straight Arrow's Din Rojas and HubSpot's Aaron So. We also had that Pag Manila Tambay or Hangout that Sam was talking about earlier. So we did a Facebook Live with special guests, Nico Magalona. So we met Nico earlier and Rafi Santos. And during that Hangout, we asked huggers about their experiences with HubSpot user groups. And some huggers won merch. So you can see samples of the merch there because we had a quiz. And we had that merch, shipped via Grab and Lala Move. So they're courier services here. And we want to keep that energy going by focusing on a topic that's actually really near and dear to my heart because it covers all stages of the inbound flywheel and it requires alignment between all departments. And it focuses on relationship building essentially, and it's called account-based marketing and selling, or ABM. And I'm excited to get Dan's insights on ABM today. But what I guess people might be asking, what is ABM? And have we been doing some ABM things all along? To help us find out, this is the game I'm talking about. I'd like to invite everybody to play a quick game with me of Never Have I Ever. So for this game, if you can turn your video on. And raise your hand. Just one hand will do. And put your hands down if the situation I'm describing has never been true for you. All right, so I see some people's videos are on now. Let me just check. Yeah. All right, so is everybody ready? Can we do our first scenario? So just raise your hands. All right, so first scenario, never have I ever had clients need to make purchase or contract decisions as a team. They always do this individually. So is the statement true for you? Keep your hands up if it is. And if it's not, keep your hands down. Or put your hands down. Okay, so thank you. Next scenario. Never have I ever been able to build friendships with different contacts in the client's company. So hands up if this statement is true for you, hands down if it's not. Right. Okay, thank you. And for the last scenario, never have I ever had accounts grow over the years that we've started needing to look at the different groups that we serve as a whole. So hands up if the statement is true for you. All right. So thank you for joining that activity and indulging me in that quick game. So based on that, it looks like some of us have actually been doing some account-based marketing and selling tactics after all. And I'm a huge advocate of it because I believe it forces us to, be more strategic about how we manage client relationships. And it helps us identify our, hashtag relationship goals with clients. So I'm excited to learn from Dan about this, and I hope you're as excited as I am. Thank you very much, and yeah, have a great morning. I hope you enjoy this session.
Awesome. Do you want to run the slides, Chloe? No one's as excitable as you. You're the most excitable person in the Philippines.
All right. Okay.
All right, keep going on the slides, and you can run them, right?
All right.
And I'm happy to spend the next 45 minutes talking a little bit about ABM, right? Yeah. All right. Anybody tired? That's the monkey slide, right? Anybody feel like that? I know it's early in the Philippines. It's not that early. You guys get up early all the time, right? That slide is from Las Vegas. Put in the Bevy chat pane if you've ever been to Vegas. Yes, Vegas, no Vegas. Ooh, that feeling. I know. That's why I put it, right? Sometimes I usually put it in before 8 o'clock, right? It's a little later now, so you're probably not feeling, or after lunch, right? And there's a story to it, but I don't have enough time to tell the story. But Chloe, 100% right. First of all, thank you, Leah, Sarah, Samantha, Belle, all of that. Great preparation and super excited about talking about this. I'm an excitable boy. I'm not quite as excitable as Chloe, who's like always smiling and got that big energy. But my tagline is, oh, baby. Now, put in the Bevy chat if you've ever heard the term, let's get this bread. Is that like a thing? Hashtag let's get this bread in the Philippines? Have you guys ever heard that? Yes, hashtag let's get this bread. No, hashtag let's get this bread. Chloe, what do you think? Have you ever heard of it? Come off mute and tell me if you've ever heard of it.
Yeah, I've only heard of it from our sales team, actually.
All right. Do you know what it means?
Vaguely.
Sarah's like, no, we use let's get. Koo says, yeah, I get that all the time. Let's get this bread. All right. It means let's stop beating around the bush. Let's go and do what we're supposed to be doing. Right. Which I learned from my 19-year-old daughter when she's like, Dad, hashtag let's get this bread. I'm like, ooh. And I've been using that for about 2 years. That one plays all over the world. But it's 2021. We're coming out of the global pandemic. So I'm like, I need a new hashtag. And does anybody know hashtag Chugi? Right? Anybody know that one? Yes, Chugi, no Chugi. I guess you have to say the hashtag. Yes, hashtag Chugi, no hashtag Chugi. Right? I don't know if this is over in the Philippines or not. We'll have to check. All right, quick, put in the Zoom group chat or the Bevy group chat if you know that one. There's a slight, Koo, oh my goodness. See, can we bring Koo on stage? Can she explain or just type it out?
Yeah.
What does it mean?
Koo knows all the hashtags.
Bring her on stage. Oh, that is awesome. Okay, I cannot wait to tell my 22-year-old daughter that I have nieces and nephew. Oh, yes. All right. So, Chloe, just so you know, when you say Chugi, right, that's Gen Z making fun of millennials, right? If so, like everybody's like 27 years old now gets made fun of. It used to be at a hit 50 before somebody would poke fun of you. Now it has all the time. Koo, we got to give something to Koo. That is awesome. Yeah. Can't believe you knew Chugi or hashtag Chugi. Yes. All right. So if you want to get your teenagers all excited, right? Throw them into a frenzy, just like Koo is doing in the chat pane right now. You're just like, oh, that's so hashtag Chugi. And they will not know what to do. They will think that you came from Mars. They will be like, oh my goodness, insane. All right, that's not really a HubSpot tip, but that's your relationship tip for the day. All right, go to the next slide. This is a pretty interesting story. The El Aurora. Does anybody know the El Aurora here it's in Austin, Texas? I don't know if this is too American. I don't like, in an international audience, I don't like to be too American, but these guys, this is a taco stand in Austin, Texas, and these guys are hilarious. Right? The first one is a Disney reference. The truth is 6 out of the 7 dwarves are not happy. Does that play? Is that pretty funny? All right, Sam is laughing, so I'm assuming that translates pretty well. It's like nuanced. And then the 2 unwritten rules for life, okay? Because they're unwritten, okay? It's hard to like say that out loud, but this restaurant, it's a taco stand in Austin, Texas. El Aurora, you can find them on Twitter. Just Google it, right? They have hundreds of much better jokes than I could ever tell, right? Amazing, right? Every day they have something that's different. I just picked a couple of them and I thought I'd like to share with them. All right, go to the next slide, please. Right. Oh, and this is, I was in Costa Rica a couple of years ago. And as some of you know, I'm a big time speaker. Right. In 2019, I did almost 70 presentations. In 2020, I did 85 presentations because it's easy to speak in the Philippines when you don't have to jump on a plane. And so I'm in Costa Rica. Put in the Bevy chat if you've ever been to Costa Rica. Yes, Costa Rica. No, Costa Rica. Right. A little bit like commonality with the Philippines. Friendly people, family-oriented people, no army. They're right in Central America. They don't have any army. 98% of the world's biodiversity. So they have all of the like butterflies and lizards and snakes and things like that. Oh my goodness. Samantha. Anyway, so I this is a joke that I've been telling for 3 years. Right. And the joke is, right, Mayan apocalypse. Right? Which is, if you're an English speaker, it's mildly entertaining. If you don't speak English, right? Okay. Koo gets all of my jokes. All right. We got to send Koo like a shirt because she laughs at everything. Apocalypse. I know. Anyway, it turns out it doesn't translate quite as well in Spanish. So I had my first translator. I was thinking like I'm a big shot. Okay. I finally have a translator. I'm in front of 300 people. I'm saying my presentation. And then Gonzalo's on a little stool. And I go, Mayan apocalypse. Nothing. They don't laugh. And I'm like, Gonzalo, say it again. He's like, no. I'm like, Gonzalo, say it again. He's like, no. And you guys can kind of tell I'm not the typical speaker, right? I'm a little confrontational, right? If Chloe doesn't move to my next slide, who knows what I'm going to say, right? It's kind of dangerous, Chloe. You got all of the power, right? Anyway, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to go to the next slide. And then he said something in Spanish and everybody laughed. It was super funny. Then we moved on to the next slide. So yes, that is an alpaca. Has anybody ever seen an alpaca? Right? It's part of the joke, but alpacas in Peru, when I was in Peru in 2019, saw alpacas. Amazing. All right. Go to the next slide, please. My name is Dan Tyre. My pronouns are he and him. I'm going to, somebody will put my LinkedIn in the Bevy chat, right? Please connect with me on LinkedIn, right? And I'm at your service, right? Thank you very much, Sarah. Awesome, right? I'm employee number 6 at HubSpot. I'm celebrating my 14th year anniversary. The reason why Sarah and Samantha and Lay and Chloe are so excited, it's not because I'm just an old guy. It's because I'm an old guy that worked for HubSpot for 14 years, and it is amazing. I've done 5 startups since 1983. I speak all over the world, which is super fun. I'm an author of a book called The Inbound Organization, which I'll show you at the end. I'll run a mentor program for people who are trying to grow better, right? I am a sales coach here at HubSpot, right? I serve on 3 boards of directors. I'm a big-time blogger for the HubSpot sales blog. I'm an angel investor. And my mission statement is trying to do the most good for the universe, right? Which is one of the reasons why, even though it's a little later at night, I love working in the Philippines, right? I'm all in for HubSpot. I'm all in for HubSpot partners. I'm all in for HubSpot customers. Even if you don't pay a dime for the software, you're a part of our ecosystem, right? HubSpot is a socially responsible company. Right? We stand against racism, right? Here in June, it's Asian American Heritage Month for the United States, right? And for some reason, Asian Americans getting all kinds of like crazy antics here in the United States. So we all have to pull together as rational people in the world, right? And HubSpot and an anti-racist company, right? And I'm an anti-racist person. So we stand with our Black and our Filipino and our Asian American and our Asian partners, customers, employees to do what's right. All right. I'm a little quirky, as you know. I don't sit down when I eat. I don't tie my shoes. I've got a dog by the name of Katy Perry, a boy dog by the name of Katy Perry. I've got an orange office. I live in a purple house. I've been married for 33 years. And these are some of the companies that I've invested in, right? The one that I wanted to talk about today, sometimes people think I'm an ivory tower executive, right? That I'm just like it's different working for $1 billion software company. And that is true, right? But I still work a lot with smaller companies that are trying to scale. And Chicory is one of those companies, right? It's a food tech company that powers about 1,500 recipe sites. Put in the Bevy chat pane if you like recipes, right? If you ever go on the internet, find recipes and then build stuff. And it's a leading digital shopper marketing platform for grocery brands. And a lot of what we do for ABM applies to companies like Chicory because they were small. When I started working with them, they were 2 people. Now they're almost 50 people, right? And they've been practicing ABM now for the last 7 years, right? And if you have any questions on anything here, home cooking is in now. I know. Downloading recipes and getting started is a great way to do it. All right. So if you have any questions on any of these companies, just let me know. I don't cook, but I love food. Yeah, everybody's like that. I know. I don't either, right? But it's a whole new world out there. All right. Go to the next slide there, Chloe. Let's talk a little bit about, running a business. Put this in the Bevy chat pane. Is running a business easier or harder in 2021? Right? I want to know from your perspective, like you guys know so far, I try to approach the presentation based on where the audience is. That makes it a little bit more fun for me, makes it a little bit more effective for you. So it's very interactive. You got to be on your toes. You just can't like leave the slides on and wait for me to talk, right? I want to know easier or harder. We have to give more extra. I know, Sarah. I know. This is like you didn't realize that's the games that these guys were talking about, right? You got to actually answer the questions that you ask. So easier or harder to scale a business in 2021, right? Just put easy or harder, or I don't know, or go back to the jokes. You could put that in if you want, or come on, Tyre, move it along. Okay. Samantha says harder. Chloe says harder. Awesome. Yes. It's hard. Why is it so hard? Put in the reason why it's harder in 2021 to scale a business. Right? Number one, we've already talked about we're moving out of a global pandemic and everything has changed. Right? Number two, supply chains are different. Samantha, Filipinos are very creative, right? There's no question, right? But the question is, right, easier or harder? Supply chains are different. Customer expectations are a little bit different, right? Customers are more demanding. There's much more competition. Does anybody know the statistics on competition between 2016 and 2021 in the last 5 years? Anybody know the number of competitors the average company has in 2021? Put in the Zoom group chat. If you come within 3, I'll buy you a breakfast sandwich. I'll pay for it, Sarah, so you don't have to pay for all of the like hug stuff, right? Put in the number of competitors the average company has. This is global information, right? Compiled by HubSpot Research. In 2016, the average company had 6 competitors. What is it in 2021? Just guess. You can win a breakfast sandwich. You guys love breakfast sandwiches, right? Anybody want? I guess there's a delay in posting it in the Bevy chat panel. Okay. There's 10, says Chloe. 1,000, says Samantha. All right. It's between those two, right? So it's a little bit higher than the first, a little bit lower than the second. Close to 100. That's good, Joyce. Yeah. There's no question there's a lot more, right? It used to be when you started a company, right? That was a big deal. Like starting a company was hard. You had to do all of these things. All right, Sarah. Very, very good. Okay, Jackie. Good. Right? You're not that close. so far, Sarah's the closest. So it's between Chloe and Sarah. All right, Samantha, you only get really one guess, but I'm going to give you the breakfast sandwich. That's pretty good. I know. It's 44. The average company has 44 competitors. But you guys were going, you didn't quite get it right, but you were getting there. If I gave you another 7 or 8 minutes, like you would have figured it out, right? The idea, though, is that it's easier to start a business, so you're in more competition with more people. That is what makes it harder. And if you go to the next slide, what you'll find is that there's an old way and a new way, right? And there's lots of companies that like still use spreadsheets, right? They don't have a CRM, right? They track their customer relationships like on napkins, right? But it doesn't work anymore. Online productivity tools have gone from being like a nice to have to an indispensable part of a remote worker's toolkit, right? And just like Chloe said, these relationships are critically important. One of my most famous quotes is every business is a people business, right? Every single one. The reason I'm here is because Sarah and Sam and Chloe and Lay and Belle said in January, maybe it was December, they're like, we want you to speak at the Philippines. I'm like, okay, I know you guys. I like you guys. I'm there, right? And that personal approach was very, very important, right? But the relationship requirements are a little bit different, right? Today, end users might want to bypass, right, humans for some actions. When was the last time you talked to a travel agent? Anybody ever like remember a travel agent? Like Chloe's like, what? What are you talking about, old guy? Come on. There's no travel agents anymore. You just want a bot, right? You just go to a website, you book your own travel, right? The demand for immediate answers, right? Does anybody know how quickly you have to respond when somebody asks a question, right? Either on social media or on your website? Put it in the Zoom group chat. Redeem yourself, Manila Hug people. See, I'll buy you another breakfast sandwich if you know how quickly you have to respond if somebody asks you a question on your website. It's amazing, right? And it's a testament. Okay, Chauncey, out of the gate quick. Oh my goodness. There you go. All right, somebody make a note. Chauncey, put your email in the Bevy chat pane and send me an email, dtire@hubspot.com, and I'll find a way to get you a breakfast sandwich. That was awesome. Yeah, Chauncey, it goes down by like 900% if you don't get to somebody in 5 minutes. Doesn't matter where you are, right? There's this customer expectation that's really, really important. And so there's this fundamental shift in expectation. All right, so the rise of SaaS, software as a service, go to the next slide, please, Chloe, is all about what we call the empowered buyer. And the empowered buyer is all you guys. Everybody on this call today is an empowered buyer, right? Chloe's never talked to a travel agent because she doesn't have to. She can self-serve. And it's all about people who have the knowledge and the power and the skill and the capability to learn the basics about you, the basics about your company, your business, your industry, where you do your best work, but the relationship online or without your help, regardless of your reputation, regardless of your connection, regardless of your pricing, right? Regardless of your reputation or in the market or years in business. And this is a fundamental change of why ABM is so important, right? Because it's different in 2021. You all said, right? It's harder in 2021. So ABM is part of the answer. It's part of the ways that you do it. And if you go to the next slide, this is one of the reasons why it's harder for some companies. And I can't, like, you can see the answer on the screen, right? But how does this make you feel when you see that a barista at the local coffee shop has more credibility than a salesperson at a software company, right? Isn't that amazing, Sarah? Right? Marketers are at like 3%. I know, Belle, it is amazing, right? And it's because they've been doing it the old way. They're kind of a little pushy, and they're saying the same thing all the time. They want to demo you the product because they think that makes a difference. They don't really want to understand you. They don't really want to explain how they can help you, right? And so salespeople are like battling all the time. They're pushing uphill so that they can better understand, right? And they can redefine the relationship in the way somebody wants. But this is the reality when you have so many competitors in virtually every type of industry that salespeople have to deal with. All right, go through the next slide. Right. So what we've learned is that inbound wins. And after a global pandemic, right, the trends have accelerated, right? And it's accentuated all of the things that the foundations that were being laid before COVID, right? And one thing we learned is that inbound wins in 2021. All right. And inbound used to be inbound marketing. And put in the Bevy chat pane if you understand inbound marketing. If you don't, I'm going to have Sarah and Samantha and Chloe explain it, right? But inbound marketing, yes, inbound marketing, no inbound. When we started 15 years ago, right, it was about tricking out your website so that you got more people to come to your website, so that more people would convert on your website, so more people would become customers, right? And now it was like a top of the funnel offer or a blog or a CTA in an easy to follow journey. Now inbound is completely different. Okay. Inbound marketing, very good, Joyce. Excellent. Yep. Lots of people here. The Manila hug, no inbound, because you practice inbound, right? So you understand. And it's much more complex in 2021. There's lots more tools to help. The Hubspot products have paid advertising as attribution. It's different. But the whole inbound process is now more about a management philosophy and leadership principles than it ever was before, right? And we know inbound wins, right? So these are 6 attributes of an inbound organization. Number 1, you have to treat people like human beings. I know it's crazy that I have to remind people that they have to treat people like human beings, but I was just on a plane last week flying from Boston to Philadelphia. Anybody from Philadelphia here? Put in the Zoom group chat if you're from Philadelphia, right? And they weren't treating their fellow passengers like human beings. It was amazing. I was telling the ladies earlier how incredible it was. People couldn't even queue up. Right? They were just grumpy, right? And disgruntled. And treating people like human beings is important. Number 2, we always help, not sell. The whole idea of the hugs is we just want to help you, right? We're going to teach you about ABM tonight. We're going to teach you what you need to do to get started and why this is important, right? Why? We don't care if you buy stuff. We want to help you grow your businesses. That's the most important thing. Number 3, focus beats bandwidth. I've got a separate slide on this, right? But to really stand out against the competition, right? You have to make sure that you have a swim lane and you do your best work. In the old days, that was like 2018, right? You could be a generalist. You could say, no, I work with all these different kind of companies. And you could still be opportunistic. In 2021, you have to be focused on where you do your best work, right? So that focus is as important as anything. Right? That focus beats a broad generalization in most industries. Number 4, you have to solve for the customer. This is one thing that HubSpot's done very, very well. We kick off all of our customer meetings with the voice of a customer. And one of the senior executive interviews one of our customers to ask them specific questions about how we can be more adaptable. How can we add more value? What they like, what they don't like. And it's in front of the whole company. Right? There are 4,000 people listening to some of the user morons that some people sometimes have. But it's very therapeutic and is very important because solving for the customer is not always easy, right? But it's a core foundation of inbound. Number 5 is the customer journey and experience is your only competitive advantage. Lots of sales teams I talk to, lots of marketing teams I talk to say, no, it's only price, right? What my customers want is price. And I'm like, have you ever asked them? And they're like, no, but I know that's price. And in most cases, it's not price, right? In most cases, the shift has been amazing. People are willing to pay more, sometimes a lot more, based on convenience, based on fit, based on the ability to accomplish their problem. And now account-based marketing or account-based sales is designed so that you can connect the right company with the right prospect to get it done. And then 6 is the technology and data is indispensable for success, right? I like to say that every company is a data company, right? And it used to be you could say, we're manufacturing, we're logistics, we are not really a tech company. You can't do that anymore. Applying inbound takes many forms. And a few years ago, we started to see this new process. So if you go to the next slide, right, we started to see the emergence of account-based marketing, or ABM, or account-based sales. It's basically the same thing, right? And account-based marketing is a critical component of our company's success, right? So we use it at HubSpot, utilizing the HubSpot Enterprise product, right? And what it is a target approach primarily to B2B enterprise accounts that involves focusing in on key accounts and then creating hyper-targeted content and campaigns and delivering a personalized experience to the companies that matter most. And it's actually been around for like 30 years, right? Everybody has always had targeted accounts. The difference is now you have technology to support it. And now you can identify those accounts in your HubSpot account. You can fashion campaigns that scientifically approach with the right workflows exactly how you're going to engage. It's sales and marketing working together to close typically large, complex deals at a specific type or size of company. And before you can start your flywheel to attract, engage, and delight, you have to identify them. So where more traditional marketing tactics rely on like casting a wide net, the way we did it in 2018 is like, no, we're going after everybody, right? Nurturing context to a wide sales funnel. Account-based marketing is like fishing with a spear, right? You're going to be like, no, I'm going to go after these 6 accounts, right? It's calculated, it's executed correctly, it's highly effective, right? Because I'm going to give you the techniques that we use, right, to make sure that it works. All right, go to the next slide there, please, Chloe. Thank you. All right. So I was asked to present 7 steps to get started with account-based marketing. And put in the Bevy chat if your sales and marketing team is aligned. Yes, alignment, no alignment, right? For account-based marketing, you're telling a specific story to one person at a time. And it's one of the reasons why ABM is so appealing to marketers and so appropriate for 2021. Yeah, Randy says somewhat aligned. You see that a lot, right? In actuality, by branding ABM or ABS, account-based selling, is a perfect example for people to work together to ensure that that entire campaigns are going to be successful. Because account-based marketing carries a single personalized message with highly contextual content. You're going to say different things to different people in the organization, right? It's highly targeted, right? There's like a prospect fit matrix for every single role. And the result should be engagement in these new high-quality sales opportunities, right? More than just talking to everybody in like a global sense. It takes planning, strategy, and well-thought-out playbook. Right. So the first step is aligning sales and marketing. So working together, you have to identify how this is going to work, strategic, tactically, and effectively. Right. You work in tandem because today salespeople do a little marketing. Right. They send out proposals. They send out content. Marketing does a little sales. They send out emails. They write the emails. They build the pieces of content. Right. You always start by getting a good code name. The companies that have the best code names always win. I don't care if you call it Speed Vote or Event Horizon, or you can do it after Superhero. I don't care. It's a great way to start to work together. Many times, it's sometimes hard to get sales on board, right? Marketers are ready to go. They're like, no, I want to work closely with sales. Sometimes sales are like, no, I don't want to work with you. But it's essential in ABM because each segment has to do about the same amount of work. All right, so the first thing, if you go to the next slide, I actually have a term. Anybody ever heard the term schmarketing? Put in the Zoom group chat if you ever heard schmarketing. Yes, schmarketing, no marketing. It stands for sales and marketing alignment, right? I actually invented that term. Samantha, oh my goodness. Yes, thank you very much. Schmarketing. I know, I invented it in 2007. I was getting drunk in Cambridge. Oh, yeah. Yes, okay, cool. We've got all the right answers. And it turns out, Jackie, that schmarketing is an important initiative for and ABM is essential for it. To get schmarketing alignment, sales and marketing alignment, you have to agree on the goals, right? When you're identifying good fit like customers, right? They have to hit a specific profile, right? Like this alignment, it has to start in sales and marketing, right? It's further morphed in 2021 into what we call RevOps, right? Put in this Bevy chat if you know RevOps, right? I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, but it's the next step to ABM, right? Where you're aligning all of the systems in your organization. But I wanted to put in a slide on schmarketing, right? Because, okay. All right, you guys are up to speed. That's very, very good. All right, if you go to the next slide, once you have that alignment, you've got to identify good fit accounts. All right, it's an interesting exercise, right? Because we call this the ideal customer profile. It's actually one of the hardest things to do, right? Everyone has a few accounts they covet. Everybody, every business owner, every president, executive team I've ever met, they're like, yes, I want to work with this company. And I'm like, why? And they're like, they're the biggest employer in town, or they have a ton of dough, or they have a great reputation, or they're perfect for the type of business that we do, right? And so in my own personal experience, when I was working in the Boston area, right, we used to drive by the Bose World headquarters, the headphone people, right? And they had this big warehouse right next to the highway, right? Every time I drove by it, I'm like, yes, we need to sell HubSpot to Bose, right? It wasn't particularly scientific back in 2014, but that was account-based marketing. We're saying, yes, this is our ideal customer profile. We're going to go after it. So to pick your right good fit accounts, right, you need to identify more than just a big building, right? You want that company to make sure it's the right size, right, that fits the businesses you run. I had a entrepreneur said, I want to partner with HubSpot. I'm like, all right, have you ever partnered with $1 billion company before? They're like, no. I'm like, well, maybe a little hard, right? He goes, no, but we can do it. I'm like, you're aspirational. I appreciate that enthusiasm, but it's going to take you hundreds of hours just to fill out the application so that you could get approved to sell. Why don't you find somebody that is a little bit more that doesn't have all of the hoops that you have to jump through to get your first few customers? The right number of employees, right? The right industry, the right vertical, the right growth potential. And the way you do that is you're going to find where you do your best work, right? You're going to find where your best customers come from, the size of those companies, the location, whether it's in the Philippines or somewhere across the world, right? The titles of the people who typically make the decision, right? And then you're going to pick between 4 and 6 customers, 4 and 6 targets, right? That's not a lot. People have said, no, oh, Tyre, we have 80 account-based marketing targets. I'm like, 80? How can you do that many? Let's start with 6 so that you can focus, you can learn, and then we'll grow from there, right? And the size, it also takes a little bit of time, right? An ABM sales process is measured in months or quarters. It doesn't happen overnight, because it's not like they're buying something, a relationship, which is exactly what Sam and Chloe said at the start of this, right? You're going to load them into HubSpot, and you start to identify the roles that and the titles and the people who are involved. All right, go to the next slide, because I think I have a famous quote there. Yeah. Has anybody ever heard this quote? The riches are in the niches, right? In Europe, you say, if you want to go to the beaches, you've got to work the niches, right? And what it means is that you have to be very, very specific on what you're looking for, right? And in 2021, the ability for you to understand, okay, and to focus. You can still be somewhat opportunistic, but your ABM accounts, the 6 accounts that you're going to choose, put in the Bevy chat if you have 6 accounts that you know you want to target in 2021, right? Yeah, Sarah's right. Be at the best where you are the best at. It makes so much sense. Number 1, right? You'll do better, right? Randy says, yes, I got 6 accounts, right? And you're going to tell them, right? You're going to be very upfront. You're like, you're one of my targeted accounts. We call them a lighthouse account. At HubSpot, if we want to do business with you, right, we'll call you up, right? Multiple people in the organization will like, you're a lighthouse account. They'll be like, what's that? It's like, we're going to try to work with you over the next 3 years. There's got to be something we can help you with, right? And they're like, what do you mean help us with? You want to sell software? We're like, no. What we want to do is establish a relationship to grow, right? If you do that in specific niches, you'll actually grow more quickly. And that's one of the keys to account-based marketing. All right, go to the next slide there, Chloe. All right, then you're going to personalize your outreach, right? And like I said, we tell people you're a lighthouse account. You explain your expertise. We work with companies like Bose that produce consumer products all over the world, right? And are typically viewed as premium quality products that are at the high end of the price scale, but worth it, right? And one thing that's changed in the last few years is it used to be you talk to the decision maker first. You're like, I want to talk to the CEO of the company. And we don't do that anymore. Now we want to communicate and talk with multiple people before we talk with the person who will ultimately make the decision. So if you're going to sell to HubSpot and you want to talk with Dharmesh or Brian, right, you'll start with people within the organization so that you understand what's going on. So by the time that you get to Yamini or Channing or someone like that, you're going to say, no, I talk with Tyre, I talk with Katie Engmack, I talk with Dan Sally, I talk with all these people, right? And this is what they told me. And it actually gives you a more effective way of earning that relationship. All right, so that outreach is super important, right? And you're going to deliver that in different ways, right? It's going to be email. It's going to be phone calls, right? Put in the Bevy chat if you pick up the phone and actually call prospects, right? It's always interesting. One of the roles that I have at HubSpot is teaching people actually how to call on the phone, and especially young people, chuggies, right? And they're like, why do I have to call? Can't I text? I'm like, no, you got to actually call. And they're like, why? I'm like, well, do you want the business? They're like, yeah. I'm like, well, do you want the business this year? They're like, yeah. Call, says Bill. I know. Okay, so you got to pick up the phone. You got to stand up, right? You got to smile, right? You got to like get a good phone voice, right? And then you're going to email them, right? That outreach is important. But each of the message, each one of the emails is going to be slightly different. We do calls and we do one-on-one sessions with our select account. That's awesome, Randy. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Don't they feel special when you do that? You tell them you're a targeted account for us, right? We want to make sure. And Randy says, yes, of course they do. All right. Then one of the big things I want to share with you tonight is I want to make sure you're personalizing your outreach with video. Put in the Bevy chat if you use video as a way to engage. Yes, video, no video, right? HubSpot has HubSpot Video. It's built on Vidyard. If you don't have HubSpot Vidyard, okay, awesome. Rafi Santos, he knows how to use video. Oh my goodness. Right? He's been sending videos for 3 years, right? And it's very, very personable because you'll see, like me, you'll see my HubSpot shirt, you'll see my orange background, and I will have your website up on the screen, and I'll be able to explain to you why you're a target account, what you're doing. We tried, but it came out cringy. All right, Randy, send me a dtiredhubspot.com. Send me a video. Send one to Sam or Chloe. Send one to Rafi, right? He'll say, no, this is how you do it. I know it takes a little bit of time. You got to do 50 of them before you get really good. But do you want anybody on this call want another email, right? You're rolling your eyes like, no. The last thing I want is another email. Who doesn't want a little movie of Chloe or Sam with that big smile and like on your website talking about how they want to establish a relationship in 2021? It makes a huge difference. It injects unique personalization. It is unique and it's a little bit different. All right. Step number 4. All right. This is deliver insights, messages, and content suited to roles. Okay. This is where the marketing organization really comes in, right? And all roles are a little bit different, but there are more people involved with decisions in 2021 than ever before. Group decisions require more work, and there should be fewer surprises as the deal progresses, especially as it relates to enterprise deals, right? So if you're calling a chief revenue officer, right, the level is high executive. They have high value to virtually any of the sales process. They're like very concerned about, they're responsible for the strategic sales direction and meeting or exceeding quota, right? And they want to make sure that you're positioned for growth above the industry average. So asking them questions about how the company's positioned strategically, right, to meet or exceed 2021 goals is a great way to start. Asking them, have you identified ways to reduce friction in your sales process? We should talk about a flywheel is something that is important. Do you think, this is a good one. When we send to an executive at a company, we ask, do you think there's opportunities slipping through the cracks? Right? And the answer to that one is always yes. That's what a senior salesperson is interested in. Asking the right question to different personas. Yeah, you got to do it. You got to chart all of these things out. You can do that in HubSpot, and then you can apply the right workflows to the right level, right? A VP of sales, almost the same, right? Their value of the sales process is high. They're still executives. Their goal is to improve organization productivity, and they want to meet or exceed quota, right? And so you're going to ask, can you beat your 2021 quota, right, with the current programs that you have in place, right? That's a very valuable question, because if they can't, right, they're looking for solutions. And if they can, right, then you're like, all right, let's start planning for 2022. What are the most important initiatives to improve sales productivity, right? That's at the executive level. Now, if you go down to a director level, right, director level is typically an influencer in the process. Right. And they're tracking analytics. What they want to do is they want to make sure that they're meeting or exceeding quota. Right. But they want to make sure that they have the right reports so they can lean into the right coaching so that they can improve company or team performance. Right. And the questions for them is, how often do managers review the data that you have available? And then we go all the way down to individual salespeople. Right? When we call on a company of 100 people, we'll talk to salespeople, we'll talk to junior salespeople, we'll talk to everybody, sometimes 50 people in the company, right? Anybody who's involved in the sales and marketing motion, because their questions are a little bit different. All right. Any points on that? Right. And then once you move over to marketing, it's a little bit different as well. Right. So senior marketing folks also concerned about strategy and competitive advantage and organizational leadership, right? Their questions are you able to show the value of your programs to the board of directors and senior management team, right? And fashioning a complete format of all of the titles, then the value to the sales process, then what they're interested in, and then specific questions that you're going to seed into multiple email sends. By the way, some of you know this. Actually, we'll auction off another breakfast sandwich. How many times do you have to call or email a executive to get them to respond? Put in, is it one call? Ooh, Rafi. Yeah. All right, Rafi, I think I bought you a breakfast sandwich, but I'm going to have to buy you another one. You have to do at least four calls, 4 emails, leave voicemails as well. All right. It's true, Randy, because if you send me an email, I get 800 emails today. I'm just responding to my Monday and Tuesday emails. If you wait 2 days and send me another one and say, as a second ping, then I'm like, Rafi sent me one. I'm such a slug. I haven't responded to him last week, right? If he waits 3 days and then sends me third ping, right? Now all of a sudden I'm like, now I feel almost guilty. I'm like, oh, I know Rafi. He asked me a quick question. I haven't been able to respond. And then 2 days later, it is, should I stay or should I go? Fourth email. Right. Remember, I've called 4 times because I'm good on the phone. And if you go through the executive assistant, there's another talk track. Randy, send me an email and I'll send you a video of how to get around the gatekeeper. Right. We got lots of things around that. Anyway, as it relates to ABM, we want to deliver the right insights, the messages, and suited to the roles, because it's super important. All right. Next bullet. Number 5 is you're going to create emotional and compelling messages and offers, right? This is important, and this is why video is so important, right? How can we make it easy for you? It's my favorite question of 2021. When I am engaging with another executive, I'm like, all right, we have a good understanding of your needs. We've walked through the process, but how can I make it easy for you? What's taking up the most of your time? What are the things that you're spending the most time on? And we want to be like the smart, supportive friend that helps. We want to be sincere. We want to be supportive, right? We want to be enthusiastic about our content, our community, and our culture, right? Remember, we're not necessarily going for the quick sale, right? When we cycle in for targeted accounts with ABM, right? People say, no, we're a competitor's company. We use Salesforce and Marketo. We're like, great, right? Over the next 3 years, there's got to be something we can help you with. You must have a data issue. You must want to see something, right? All we want to do is establish this relationship. We want to be humble. We want to, about the attention we get, we want to make sure that we're empowering our customers, and we want to feel like everybody's heard, right? Those are the emotional and compelling messages that are super important. All right, how much more time do I have? Can I keep going? Sam, how much?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
How much time do I have?
Actually, like 20 minutes, 15 minutes.
All right. Yeah, I got plenty of stuff, right? Cool. 1 hour, says Rafi. All right. I just want to make sure. All right. So the next step is execute and orchestrate plays for targeted individuals, right? And this is where the workflows within HubSpot become so critical, right? Because if somebody's moved on or been promoted, right? It was Rafi. I'll stay here for an hour if you want. Maybe not an hour, but I'll run up to the end, right? Right. People move around. People change, right? New people come on, right? And executing orchestrated plays to targeted individuals is the key, right? We talked about starting low and moving high. And that's one of the biggest differences in a company engagement previously. Like in the old days, you wire directly to the CEO or the decision maker. Today, because there's so many decision makers, you want to build your profile. You want to understand exactly what the issue is. You want to understand and choose your spots, right? So the philosophy is that we're going to work with you sooner or later, right? Because we'll add so much more value first, right? And it plays really well. That's what people want, right? They don't want somebody who's going to sell to them. They want somebody that's going to help them. And then the last of the 7 steps is to measure key metrics and adjust. One of the key metrics is if people are receiving your emails. That's where the video can greatly improve, because you'll get a 4x times open and click-through rate when you send a video as opposed to just sending a text email, right? Sometimes these campaigns will go over an entire year. Many times to add to the emotional and compelling messages, they are tailored and personalized to events in the company. Like if their earnings reports are up or down, that will weigh on the message. If they announce a new product, that will be included in the message. If they are hiring new sales or marketing folks, if they're outsourcing stuff, if they are opening new locations, if they are executives are working on a panel somewhere, all of that is super important, right? And you want to measure all of that and adjust, right? The reason why you start with 6 and only 6, right, is because you're going to learn the process in this vertical market of how you engage. You're going to learn the things that you do right. You're going to learn the things that you do wrong. You're going to learn about how the targeted messages resonate, right? You can do a handful at a time, right? But it's hard to take all of the specific feedback and apply it quickly, right, if you got too many sales pursuits going. So measuring those key metrics, right, that start with the engagement, and then determining if people are going from the awareness to the consideration mode. In the inbound sales process, right, we start with awareness. We want them to know that we're here. We want them to know that we're very good in this particular vertical. We want them to know we have experience and referenceable accounts in this vertical, and we want them to know that we're targeting them as a lighthouse account. As they move to consideration, we're like, great. We want to make sure that you have more specific information, right? That's when the sales team is going to start to get involved to craft information based on everything that we've learned, right? Key to an account-based marketing plan, right, is a complete like dossier of all the things that have worked in the past and all the things that we're going to do to bring this on as a customer, right? And then as they move to decision-making mode, right, we got to make sure, number one, we're going to do a great job. Right. If you don't think that you can service the customer in 2021, it's a little bit different. In the old days, it was buyer beware. Right. In 2021, it's seller beware, because if you don't bring on the right customers, if they don't aren't happy with the work, if they're not attuned to what you're trying to do, right, then everybody's going to know about it. It's like a public thing now, right? So the ability to engage with the right customers at the right time with the right message, and then not just sell to them, but service them in a way in which they become a happy customer, is all what the flywheel is all about. All right, put in the Zoom group chat if you know the flywheel. Yes, flywheel, no flywheel. Right? This is critically important because it requires that you put your best customer. Okay, very good, Rafi. Okay, Belle, very good. Okay, Jackie, great. In 2021, your customers are more important than your sales team, right? ABM is important, but customers are going to be introduced throughout the entire program. And this is there we go, flywheel forever, right? It's going to be a part of the whole ABM kind of approach. All right, go to the next slide. Denise, all right, let me explain the flywheel. I don't have a slide on this, but just Google HubSpot Flywheel. The flywheel puts your customers at the forefront of your marketing activities, which says, number one, you're going to have use cases and case studies. Number two, you're going to say, no. Yeah, the flywheel is attract, engage, and delight. But we are working with professional services companies based in Manila that have at least 500 employees that are looking to grow 25% this year, right? And you're going to show them there are 3 other companies that you do this work for, right, that are very excited about the work that you do, right? And rather than hearing from you and your sales team about what you're going to do for them, they hear from your customers. Right? It should be, thank you very much, Sarah. It should be all over your website. It should be easy to find. In the old days, Denise, we used to give references at the end, right? You already made your decision, and I'm going to give you 3 references. By the way, we never gave you any bad references. Today, we're like, no, Denise, we're going to give you 2 people to talk to at the very beginning. There are different questions. They're going to ask, how did you do the process? How did you start? How long did it take you? Where, if you had to do it over again, what would you have done? How would you have started, right? And those customers, they don't have a vested interest. They'll be like, no. Like, this is how we approached it. This is why it was so important. This is why it was effective. And this is what we learned. All right, no worries. So somebody put this, Sarah, can you put this URL in the Bevy chat pane? Very good. HubSpot Academy. Put in the Bevy chat pane if you know HubSpot Academy. Yes, HubSpot Academy. No, HubSpot Academy. Right? This is a getting started with account-based marketing lesson. Right? And this takes, I think it's 20 minutes to go through. HubSpot Academy is a free way, right, for you to learn and get certified on all of this information. And there's one on... there's 64 different certifications. There's 480 different lessons. It's amazing. This is one of my favorites because it talks about ABM and getting started. And for many folks, the biggest challenge with ABM is not understanding it, right? Is there anything that I mentioned that is difficult to understand? It's like Tyler, you're just targeting accounts. You're targeting very specific accounts. You're engaging them in a very specific way. You do have sales and marketing alignment. You do have workflows, right? But now what we're talking about is a fashion where this account-based marketing should yield, right, better results, right? And the hardest part is coming together and determining who you're going to go after, how you're going to do it, and who you're going to start with. Right. So the getting started with account-based marketing, when I give the account-based marketing presentation, was one of the most highly viewed lessons. Right. And it's in the Bevy chat pane. All right. It'll only take you 10 minutes to do it. And I highly recommend you go through it. All right. Next slide, please. All right. You guys feel empowered? Was that good? I love teaching account-based marketing. Oh, awesome. I love teaching it. Roar, says Sarah. Yes. We want you to feel empowered because even smaller companies can apply these concepts with HubSpot software to make it work, right? And this is an essential sales and marketing motion in 2021. All right, go to the next slide. All right, put your biggest takeaway in the Bevy chat pane. Sam, you did, or Chloe, are you driving my slides? You did awesome. Unbelievable. Or is it Sam? I don't want to give Chloe credit.
Actually, Lay. Lay has
No
been driving the
way.
slides.
Lee. All right. I owe you a breakfast sandwich. Put your biggest takeaway in the Zoom group chat, right? Or the Bevy chat, right? ABM is an important component, right? ABM is within everybody's reach. ABM is not that hard. ABM is supported by the HubSpot technology. And we're always interested in what the people who see the ABM presentation take away from the course so that you can start. All right, go to the next slide. I'm sure it'll pop in here shortly. All right, we're going to have you rate this session. Plan, decide the contacts you want to attract. There you go, Sarah. Very, very good. Oh, before we rate the session, let's go to you can start small and simple with ABM. Yeah, just 6 accounts. All right, it's recommended. Even companies that are multinationals, just start with 6. Much in your first foray. Very good. All right, let's give away free stuff. You guys in Manila like free stuff?
Love free stuff.
All right, let's go. Video calls over email. Samantha, that's awesome. Randy loves more than you know. Jacket. Yeah, Randy. I don't have a jacket, but all right, go to the first person. I know. I wish. You guys have better swag than I do. Okay. Somebody take this URL. In 2021, it's all hybrid, right? It used to be that you went belly to belly with your customers. You can't do that anymore, right? This playbook is 30 pieces of content, right? Resources to help you sell from anywhere is very, very helpful if you now run a hybrid program. Lots of sales managers are a little fearful that salespeople are goofing off. They're not goofing off. They're trying really hard to hit their quota. It's just more difficult when you can't go face to face, when you can't build customer engagement, when you can't speak with the executives, when you can't be the central point of contact, right? You have to do it remotely. And this resource is very, very good to helping you make that transition. All right, go to the next slide. I'm a big statistics person, right? First of all, like I give away prizes if you know the right answers. And all of the questions that I asked are all supported to the ultimate list of marketing statistics for 2021. HubSpot has all these smart people who gather all this information, and we make it available to you, right? By region and by subject matter around content marketing statistics, social media statistics, video marketing statistics, email marketing statistics, lead gen, right? The video stuff is impressive because it will show you how impactful that is to your engagement, right? And this is definitely worthwhile checking out. It's all free. It's all very, very valuable. And if it helps you get more budget or more visibility or better attraction, right, for sales and marketing alignment, we're all in. All right. And then the third, you guys podcast people? Put in this Bevy chat in if you like podcasts. I know. What do you do while you're podcasting, Chloe? What
while listening, eating. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's fine. The podcast network, right? Podcasts. If you're from Boston, you shovel snow and listen to podcasts. If you're in LA, you like when you're like commuting, you do the podcast, right? But HubSpot started a podcast network of getting to your first million, MarTech, entrepreneurs, all these great things. Laundry, there we go. Ralph put his laundry while he's listening to podcasts. Yeah, exactly. And it's just a great way to learn more stuff, be more connected, be more human, right? And just Google the podcast network and you'll see all that information. All right. Is there anything else? We already gave away the HubSpot Academy. Oh, this is the book I wrote in 2019. It's called The Inbound Organization, How to Build and Strengthen Your Company's Future Using Inbound Principles, right? It turned out that inbound is different than inbound marketing, right? And if you know somebody who doesn't quite get it, they're still struggling with why inbound is so important and a foundation for the 21st century, just get them a copy of the book. Right. I think it's $10 on Amazon or something like that. And if you go to the Inbound Organization website, you'll see there's tons of free stuff there. Right. Todd, who's my co-author, and I put together all of this great information to engage companies all over the world to move and become more inbound, because it's a critical emotion for virtually all companies. Boom. All right. HubSpot is a great company. I just attended our 15th anniversary company meeting today, and it always makes me smile, right? The focus is helping companies grow better, right? If you go to the next slide, one of the things HubSpot is famous for is the culture code. And our chief people officer, Katie Burke, says, what's culture? It's a set of shared beliefs, values, and practices, right? We actually build two products. One is our product for our customers to actually use, and our culture for our employees, right? And this is 154 slides, right? And Dharmesh created it 8 years ago and just updated it again, right? And it talks about how mission-driven organizations recruit better employees, are more effective in their go-to-market engagement, are more successful. And we bring this out into the universe because we want you to take all of that information and apply it to your business where it's appropriate so that you can grow better. All right, next slide. All right, now you can rate the session. On a scale of 1 to 10, right? On a scale of 1 to 10. Hopefully we hit some of the high points of ABM. This is a blast, right? You guys did such a good job of pulling together. Rafi, you've always been a lion and a fan. Samantha, unbelievable. Thank you, Sarah. Tremendous. All right. If you go to the last few slides, HubSpot is the #1 CRM platform for scaling companies, right? And amazing what you could do with the free HubSpot CRM now. Super exciting. If you go to the next slide, that's my website. You can always email me at dtired@hubspot.com. You can get me at dantire.com. You can call me in the United States. My goal is to do the most good for the universe, and super fun to speak to all the great businesses in the Philippines. Thank you so much for hosting me, Sam and Lay and Sarah and Chloe and
Thank
Belle.
you, Dan.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dan Tyre. For everybody in the chat, can we all give some clapping emojis to Dan Tyre this morning? Because you gave us so much energy, despite it being 9 in the morning for us here in Manila. Thank you so much one of the things that I keep remembering in your session is the idea of marketing, because it brings back really the alignment of sales and marketing. And I just love how it's now a core tenet of inbound marketing, and it's followed by thousands of companies around the world. And I can definitely say that in your session, you value the importance of attitude towards working with customers as well. So thank you so much, Dan Tyre, for your super fun presentation on account-based marketing. And I know a lot of people have a bunch of questions to ask you. So we are setting up for our Q&A. But before that, I'd just like to ask everybody in the chat, would you want to take a 5-minute break to stretch, maybe go to the restroom, get coffee, or bring breakfast over? Or would you guys want to continue on and keep the momentum going with our Q&A session? Yeah, yes, Q&A, no Q&A. I mean, yes break or no break. If you guys are in it. Or maybe what we can do is while we're doing the Q&A session, you can take us along with you when you take your snacks. Okay, Sarah said let's get going. So if everybody else is pretty okay with that, let's move on with our Q&A session, because I know some people already have some questions brewing in their mind. So if you guys are ready, just type in the chat box, ready, because now we're all here again and we'll get into our Q&A session. So I know Filipinos are pretty familiar with different kinds of foods that we have. So in the morning, I think we have what we call barako coffee. And we also have bread called pandesal. So I'm sure, Dan Tyre, when you come here to Manila, you'll get to try this breakfast here in the Philippines. So barako is strong coffee, giving us energy to start the day, just like how you started our day with account-based marketing. And they're both a great pair. to start the morning. But so much for food. Let's also fill our minds with more food for thought. What do you guys think? So I'm going to call over Dan Tyre, our special guest, of course, the sales director of HubSpot. I'll also call on Sarah, the chief advocate of Get Creative, who's also, fun fact about Sarah, she's one of Dan's Pipeline Generation Bootcamp Lions. Roar. And of course, let's welcome back to the screen Chloe, our one and only Hug leader for Hug Manila. So hi, Dan. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Chloe. How are you guys doing?
Hi again. Hi again, Sam. I'm good.
Hi everyone, roaring today. Yeah, super psyched, Sam, because we have Dan Tyre in the house in Manila today, this morning. It's flip side for him because it's at night for him, but his energy is still way high for the morning today.
I think his energy is this. It goes the same all throughout the day, or maybe increases as the day goes by. So this is probably his highest energy since it's nighttime. But let's move on with our Q&A. So again, if you guys have questions for any of the three on stage now, feel free to ask them in our chat. We have a designated chat for Q&A, and you can ask your questions there. But while our huggers are asking their questions, I'd like to ask a question too. So this is for anybody in the chat, anybody on stage now, Chloe, Dan, or Sarah. So I know a lot of people, maybe not my generation, but the older generation, some of them aren't that techie. And now it is essential to be techie and to automate things. So what are the simplest things we can do to get started with account-based marketing?
Maybe I'll take that. I'm a Gen Xer, but I'm a techie Gen Xer. I do realize that when we work with companies who are starting an account-based marketing program for their clients or for their business, you do need to do a bit of like planning work. And while HubSpot makes it easy to really automate or go put things into your plans into digital, a big part I still would have to say is the planning part. And my tip is, when you're doing account-based marketing, start with getting your account-based marketing team right. So you need to have someone in your sales team, someone in your marketing team, someone who does content, maybe even guys from your service side, because you want to be able to really look at what your target accounts are going to be and what needs will they have, who are the people, who are the players. You need to understand that. And that one you can actually do on paper, virtual, on Jamboard, and things like that. Put it down first, put the plans clear, get an alignment with your sales and marketing and even your service teams, so that when you actually go and have your HubSpot implementers in your company go and work on the digitization parts, it's easier and the plan is clear. So while we did talk about HubSpot automating things, a big part of it also is our strategy and how we think and plan about it. Yeah, so that's my tip, Sam.
I think that's great that you're talking about, who should be in your team when it comes to account-based marketing, that it's not just, sales and marketing, but you also involve service, and even those who create content, because content is the first thing, most of the times it's the first thing that gets to the customer, because everybody's online now. Any other thoughts of maybe Chloe or Dan Tyre?
No, I like that. One of the other things you might want to get is an executive sponsor for each of the targeted accounts. One of the roles that I play at HubSpot is when I engage with companies that we're not doing business with, right? As an exec of HubSpot, I'm like, you're important to us, right? I'm going to meet with you twice a year, right? Even if you don't buy anything, our goal is to establish a long-term partnership or relationship, right? So I want to get to know you as people, right? I want to understand where we can help. And here's my business card. I ask them if they're a text person or a phone person. I'm like, if there's anything you need, you text me personally. right? Unless I'm traveling internationally, I'll be back within 24 hours. And we look forward to building that relationship, finding a place where we can add the most value and engage. And people really like that, right? It reduces their risk, makes it easier for them to decide. It builds the personal relationship, and it sets the stage so that as you're starting to do business with them, it becomes a little easier.
Oh, thank you for that, Dan. Yeah, I agree. Now I think we need to change that stigma of salesperson always thinking about money. And it's actually more about building relationships. And that's how the money gets to you. When you start with being human to your customers and treating them like humans. But yeah, Rafi Santos actually
He has a
asked
question.
a
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
I'll mention it, and if you guys want to check it out, it's also in the Q&A chat, the one in right after the general chat. So his question is, would it be oversimplifying if I look at ABM as the flywheel applied to target accounts and more specific buyer personas versus ideal customer profile and its buyer persona? So an example would be writing content short of mentioning the company or various staff versus writing about companies in the industry and persona. What do you guys think about that? Personalizing on ABM.
You guys go first.
Well, for me, old school, like when I started in sales back 20 years ago, it was typically companies look at industries. They look at like which industries they wanna target, and then they do like a massive generalized email to everyone in that industry, hoping that they would catch a hook to the fish there. But account-based marketing is a little I mean, Dan put it right. It's more about looking at the niche and coming closer and coming to understand more what the challenges are of your possible customers. Also, being understand who the players are. So as opposed to like before, if you are able to attract maybe one person in the marketing team, you'll put all your work there. But in account-based marketing plan, what you'd like to do is you'd want to make sure that you have like ties across the different departments and different channels there. So you'd want to think about like what Dan said. You'd need an executive sponsor. You'd need to understand who handles the budget. Who takes care of the operations, who takes care of maybe even the marketing of the company, because you want to make sure that you're aligned to whatever it is that they have set as their goals, and you're feeding help to all the different channels within their organization. And most of the time, what we try to do when we identify these target accounts is we want to be able to really grow our relationships with those accounts, our support to them, to not just one part of the business, but also, hopefully like in all parts of the business. What we found for Get Creative when we do approach certain transactional relationships with account-based marketing is, we might just start with just one retainer on them, maybe just helping them set up their HubSpot accounts. And then what happens is because of that relationship building that's happening there, we're able to get the other parts that they need help in. Like, we may be helping them with social media. We may be helping them with SEO. We end up helping them even with things like their content plans across, and even email marketing. So when that happens, you'll see like the synergy. And as Dan said, when you start with just 6, it gives you enough headspace to be able to really work and perfect and optimize your engagements. And as you see that, you'll see also the business with those accounts growing, because you're in a way aligned to their needs, and you're aligned to helping them even more. So I hope that answers the question. And yes, Rafi, it's really about identifying who the personas are and being aligning them. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess it's pretty clear that the flywheel definitely applies to these specific, most especially because they're specific target accounts. I think they're called lighthouse accounts, right? And once you get into the specifics with them, and you kind of like what do you call this? Brew the relationship, build the relationship with them rather than, focusing on so many accounts. That actually renders more advantages to you than trying to get people on board with what you're trying to sell. Yeah. Anybody else who'd like to
Yeah, I think we have a question from Harley. So Harley wanted to know, are there specific people or roles that should be in an ABM team?
Well, that's a great question, right? At least one marketer, right? A salesperson, sales manager. If it's a real lighthouse account, senior sales executive is going to want to get involved, chief revenue officer, vice president of sales, right? Depending on who you're selling to, let's say you're selling to a CFO or an operations person, you might have somebody be the executive sponsor that's playing that role in your company because they'll understand the vocabulary. They'll be able to bond more quickly. They may know the person, right? And it's a completely relationship-oriented way to engage. You'll also have an email marketer. There was a great suggestion about including the content marketing folks there on the team, right? Remember, you're going to spend a little bit of time every week talking about the progress you're making on those 6 accounts, right? So it takes up a fair amount of mind share, right, of understanding whether you're not hearing anything back, which is unlikely, right? You should make some progress, right? Using some of the new technology, with smart content, you can tailor specific landing pages and calls to action specifically for those like house targeted businesses. And right, it's a fully functional team, maybe even a data analyst to review the results that you're receiving.
Yeah, well, speaking of content marketers, our next question is actually from Joyce. She's also a content creator and she works with us in Get Creative. And her question is for Dan. So she said, we talked a lot about engaging with our customers and treating them as humans. What's the simplest way we can get started with ABM if we're not tech proficient or tech proficiency or prerequisite?
A great question. Do you have your 6 targeted accounts? Put it in the Zoom group chat if you have your 6 targeted, or the Bevy chat if you have your 6 targeted. The first thing that you got to do is identify. Then you have to explain why they're going to be good fits for you, right, in your area of expertise there. Then you're going to chart that account with the roles, the titles, and not necessarily the people quite yet, right? But you're going to start doing preliminary research to understand who you're going to engage with. Then sales and marketing are going to work together to understand the way in which you're going to send helpful, personalized, emotionally charged information to the right folks, right? And those are the initial first steps.
I hope you got notes of that, Joyce.
Yeah, I hope we're taking notes, Joyce. Let's take notes.
I think we have a couple more questions. Here, I have another question from a private asker. Someone also, and she asked, for some key clients or lighthouse accounts where we just spend time establishing a relationship, the sales cycle is a long play. So how do we demonstrate success along the way?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's engagement with content. It's engagement with information. And some people are going to be in the awareness stage for an extended period of time. It's actually, it's not optimal, but it's not that bad, right? If you're targeting an account, right, ostensibly, they're going to spend a fair amount of money with you because you've targeted them, right? And the ability for you to spend a little bit more time to get to know them, to build that relationship, to understand, number one, if they're a good account, number two, how you're going to engage, right? The engagement should go up. Right, there should be more people talking to you about maybe you're going to suggest that let's do like a paid pilot. Let's do something where we can test it out. Give us one of your hardest like challenges or something that you're spending a lot of time on. Nick's asked, are we making the right decision by switching to an account based strategy? You're always going to be opportunistic. right? But everybody, virtually every company, all down to solo entrepreneurs, can identify a handful. It doesn't have to be 6. That's just my recommendation of companies that fit your ideal customer profile personas, and you could benefit by striking a relationship with. The only time ABM doesn't work is if you can't afford to spend that amount of time building that relationship. Right? You can still build the relationship, but you're not going to dedicate the resources, and you've got to like generate short-term revenue to fill in the gaps.
I see. All right.
So does that mean if you can does that mean you can apply ABM to traditional clients as well? Those who aren't so techy?
100%.
Oh.
Yeah. The idea, though, is that you're trying to you're trying to be a little bit more specific about it.
Mm-hmm.
You can apply it, and you see more and more of the ABM like characteristics being applied to regular customers, right? What makes an ABM customer a little bit different is everybody aligns up, right? And you're putting a lot of effort into this because once you get the deal, it'll be worth it.
All right. Thanks, Dan. I think Randy has a question. So somewhat related to ABM, I think related to like doing video calls. How do you lessen Zoom fatigue, especially if all your interactions with the client are over Zoom?
Yeah. Well, we're coming out of it, so it's it will be easier towards the end of the year, right?
Yeah.
I just try to be authentic, right? I ask people, are you zoomed out? I ask them, do you want to see my cool backgrounds? I got some really cool backgrounds, like headquarters and things like that. And some people, they're like, I cannot get on and look at another human being. I'm like, I'm right here with you. Let me just call you, right? And we'll have a brief conversation, right? I do believe that it's changing to a hybrid world, right? That Zoom fatigue is a very real thing. And good for you for calling it out. Good for you for calling it out of your prospects and customers. And it's perfectly okay to say, it's the last thing I want to do is jump on another Zoom meeting. Let's just like have coffee, or let's just talk on the phone.
Yeah, that's nice, Dan. I think we really should mix it up. There are other ways that we can connect. What we found is, now that we are all virtual, it's interesting also because you get to know your clients a little bit more. Before you'd get to know them on a level of like where they are in the office, what their office setup like, because you visit them. But now you actually get into their real world. You get to see what their house looks like. Sometimes you get to meet their family members also. So I think for sales team members, that's a win-win because that gives you an insider look on your customers. So, but I would recommend to mix it up. Don't make all your calls just Zoom calls. Try WhatsApp, try Viber. For some customers, I even do Facebook messengers. And, sometimes I shoot like short videos for customers just to say hi and check up on them. You can do that on HubSpot because we have that integration with Vidyard. So yeah, mix it up.
Yeah, I think sometimes when you think of Zoom, the first thing that comes to your mind is something formal, like it has to be a formal meeting. But when you use different platforms, you kind of make them feel more comfortable to talk to you, and really just lighten the atmosphere. So thank you so much to everybody who asked questions. I think that was our last question for this morning. And thank you as well to Dan, Sarah, and Chloe for answering our questions. But before we end our Q&A, can I just ask everybody to turn on their cameras or their videos so that we can take a memorable Bevy group selfie?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can turn on your camera or your video, we'd love to see you.
I think we should take out the screen share so we can see everyone.
Yeah.
There we go. All right.
Okay. I guess I'll take the photo. All you have to do is smile on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Perfect. Maybe I'll record one. Let's all say boom together. All right. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Boom!
Perfect. So again, thank you so much to everybody who's here. Thank you for attending our virtual hug meetup session today. I hope you all learned a lot from Dan, because I definitely did learn a lot about account-based marketing. Let me bring you over again to Chloe once more to wrap our session.
Thank you, everyone. So just some quick reminders before we all go. Yeah, Wait, can you share the screen again? All right, so Dan mentioned earlier that we'd like for you to share your feedback on the session. So we're going to send a survey form after this meeting, just so we could hear, did you enjoy it? Did you like that it was in the morning? Do you want our next speakers to have as much energy as Dan? We'll let them know. And also, we have some resources that we will send at the end of the session. Dan mentioned the ABM lesson on Hubspot Academy, but we do have some blog posts on ABM that you can read up on. We also have, because the screen's not sharing. Yeah, never mind. We also have an account planning worksheet that you guys can duplicate and use to identify your accounts, especially if you're in the very early stages and aren't in on the tech yet. Yeah. There we go. I think. There. Okay. Right. Yeah, and then if you're based in the Philippines and you need help with HubSpot, here's a QR code. So we do a lot of QR codes for contact tracing now in the Philippines. Here's a QR code that you can use to book time with Lei and Sam and Sarah, so you can get help with HubSpot. Right.
Maybe give them a couple of seconds to take a screenshot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
All right, great. Okay. And yeah, thanks for getting that screenshot. And I mentioned that we do have a growing HubSpot community in the Philippines, so you can join up on LinkedIn, Facebook, and HubSpot community. We have a dedicated page for Hug Manila. And this is our growing HubSpot user group, Facebook group. You might even catch us doing another Facebook Live there.
Yeah.
Okay, and yeah, next slide. That's it. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I hope you guys had a great time. Thank you, Dan, again, for sharing your insights and your energy.